Hey, what's up, boys and girls? Black Avenger, aka the Black Azrael, Lee Sanders here of the RCWR Show and Impact Showdown. Just wanted to set up this special introduction to the interview that you're getting ready to check out with yours truly, with the one and only Who Wants a Mustache Ride, Joey Ryan. Now, this is a true story, and I think you guys will love this. It's these little bit of stories leading up into an interview that I think you guys can really appreciate. The stuff that happens behind the scenes leading up to the interview, if you will. So I had reached out to Joey like as soon as I had found out about his release from TNA Wrestling earlier this month. And Joey, he was a guy that had first came onto our show last year as we were just starting off, and he was so gracious enough to come on by the show. And this was fresh during the whole TNA gut check thing that was going on, where he was denied a contract, and he had his whole Joey Ryan has a YouTube account series, and the whole Impact Wrestling invasions here and there every other week. He was just really hot at that point, and he was nice enough to stop by our show. And I mean, we've come a long ways since then. And for those of you that don't believe us, I challenge you, after you get done checking out this interview, to backtrack to the first time we interviewed him. You can really hear, and I'm not tooting my horn here, you can really hear the progression in me as far as where I was at that point, and the way I was interviewing folks, just the way I came off overall, the energy compared to how I am today. A big, big difference right there. Don't get me wrong, first interview was good, but this one for me really, really takes the cake. Now, me and the beautiful and lovely Tammy, who does a lot of stuff behind the scenes, try to work her magic in getting guests onto the show and all that. We were kicking back, working with Joey, trying to figure out what would be a good day and time to do this interview with him. And Joey, he basically said, okay, well, why don't we do something pre-recorded, because my schedule is pretty tight as it is right now. Let's do something pre-recorded, that is, if you're willing to do it. And it just so happened I was on vacation from the shows, and I was on vacation from work. So I was like, hell yeah, man, let's fucking do it. Let's do this interview. Yeah, anytime. I'll match you, day, night, crack of dawn. Don't matter to me when you want to do this. So we set something up in the morning, and the first interview, it went very well. Notice the keywords right there. I said first interview. There's a fucked up story that's about to happen with this here. So bear with me, but it's going to have a happy ending at the end. So we do the interview. Everything is going very well. We're doing it for like about maybe 25 minutes. Interview is over. I'm like, yeah, Joey, great stuff, man. We actually talked for like about 5 minutes after the interview was over and everything. And I got off the phone with him, and I told him, I say, okay, I'm getting ready to remix this now. I'll put it out. I'll work on a transcript, blah, 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 blah. And next thing I know, I'm playing the audio back. I can hear my parts. I cannot hear Joey's. Joey's just sounded, and I'm like, oh, fuck, what am I going to do? So I sent an email to Tammy. I shoot her an MP3. I try to see if maybe she could clean it up, because she does a little bit of audio remixing and editing of her own at her respected end. And she was like, nope, I can't do anything with this. So we're like, what are we going to do? And Tammy was like, we got to contact Joey. We got to let him know what had happened. We got to get him to do the interview again. And it was like, oh, like this guy's time is so precious, though. It's like, there's no way in hell he's going to be willing to do this again. And Tammy was like, well, what other choice do we have? Because otherwise it's a waste of his time and a waste of our time if, we don't put anything out there. It's going to make us look bad. So went on ahead, we called him back, we told him what had happened, and he was like, oh, all right, well, let's do it again, same time, tomorrow. So we did it again, and this time we took some extra safety precautions to make sure that we had this down pat, because we were not interested in entertaining a third interview. And I kind of switched it up a little bit with the questions that I asked him, obviously, because now he knew what I was going to be asking him. I kind of switched it up just a little bit. And wouldn't you know that this interview that we had did was better than pretty much the first take, believe it or not. And with that being said, I'm very proud to present to you guys my sit down interview with the one and only Joey Ryan over the 4th of July holiday weekend. This is an interview in which highlights were presented on Wrestling Inc.'s website, also on TNA Insider, as well as several other wrestling websites. And my hats off to all you wrestling websites for featuring highlights of the interview that I did with Mr. Ryan. And here you go, guys. This is remixed just for you guys here on YouTube. This special introduction to the interview was done specifically for you, our YouTube audience, our YouTube subscribers. Again, without any further ado, enjoy this interview with Joey Ryan, and be sure to leave a comment below. Also, make sure you give this video a thumbs up, as it really helps others on YouTube discover our channel more, so that they too can enjoy some of this great content that we do for you guys on a weekly basis. Take care, man.
All right, we're very pleased to welcome back our guest who last stopped by the show last year when he was part of a white-hot storyline in TNA Wrestling that saw him get denied a TNA gut check contract after receiving 87% of votes from fans that wanted him there. He would go on a personal crusade with the help of social media to cleverly put more exposure on himself and the TNA brand, just all while making cameos on Impact Wrestling Television, demanding judges give him a contract. Now, we would eventually see him get that contract as he defeated Al Snow at last year's Bound for Glory pay-per-view. You fast forward to now, a year later, TNA Wrestling, during the Independence Day holiday, they decided to release him and a few others. To talk more about his release, time in TNA Wrestling, and, of course, what's next for him in his wrestling career, we're very pleased and honored to welcome back to the show Mr. Joey Ryan. Joey, how you been, brother?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Hey, I'm pretty good, man. I can't complain, maybe except for having a little bit of too much 4th of July food. That's about it.
Still recovering, huh?
Yeah, I'm still recovering. Too many hot dogs, too much beer for me. I definitely need to go on a diet after this.
Well, then you know it's a good time.
Yeah, exactly. One thing I want to point out for folks listening that I've been noticing with the TNA brand, and I don't know if you agree or disagree with this, but it seems like it's a trend as we see storylines for some don't last very long in the company. The time on screen, it seems to diminish, thus making fans not have the same level of excitement for that star as when they first joined the company. I think good examples of that is when Christian came on board with the product. They shot him to the TNA champion, and then it seemed like after 2-3 months, that level, it just faded away. RVD, Chavo Guerrero, even yourself, to a certain extent. Do you think it's a correct assessment? Is this a case of poor writing and or booking? Because I think folks need to know that when it comes to the booking of matches and writing, you yourself was one of the co-founders of Pro Wrestling Guerilla, so you definitely know a thing or two about booking and writing a match.
Yeah, I think what it comes down to with TNA is the amount of TV time. The brand obviously doesn't have as many outlets as like the WWE brand, so it's a little bit harder to get TV time, especially when you're not in a storyline that they're focused on right now. They're pretty booked up doing like the Aces and Eights stuff and whatever, the main event Mafia now stuff, and kind of if you're not in those storylines, they're really not it's really tough for them to utilize you. And then with them going on the road and costing more money to do that too, I can kind of see where, like, if you're not in a prominent storyline currently, then you're probably easily expendable. So I can see that. But yeah, I don't know. As far as the other storylines go, I wasn't there for like the Christian stuff or whatever. But if you're, they kind of want to stay focused on what they've got because, they want to make sure that they don't spread themselves too thin. So that's why the storylines that they're promoting or that they're writing currently are the ones that take precedence over anything else.
Okay. Now, can you definitely confirm this? Because I definitely want to touch up on that. We had recently saw TNA President Dixie Carter give an interview to Wrestle Talk TV, and she had revealed a tidbit I thought was very interesting, and I would just like to confirm this if possible. It's that a lot of the storylines that we're seeing, they're doing this weeks in advance, so in some cases, they can't just throw somebody fresh, like maybe a rock star Spud, and just say, okay, next week, here he goes, and here's the storyline. Do they actually have a lot of these storylines that we're seeing play out on TV written weeks in advance?
I don't, honestly, I don't know. I'm not in the production meetings. I'm not in the writers' meeting. They don't, if they do, they don't necessarily tell all of us because, this day and age of wrestling and the internet and stuff like that, there's always a leak everywhere. So if they handed out scripts that were like, okay, this is your next 4 weeks of TV, then 2 or 3 days later you see those scripts on the internet somewhere because that's just the way the world is now. So maybe they do, but they just kind of keep the talent, like they give the heads up like week to week to the talent. But I mean, I can't say for sure yes or no whether how long in advance they have these storylines written.
Okay. Now, I'm sure it's probably on the minds of a lot of fans, definitely myself. We were shocked to hear about your release from TNA. Could you tell our listeners out there how and why this release came about? What were the circumstances that you found out?
Well, they weren't really using me very, very often since I stopped teaming with Matt. I think I was used pretty sparingly. I think I did a pay-per-view match with Joseph Park, and then I came back into the Knockouts referee stuff, and then recently had that X Division 3-way match, and so I wasn't really, there was no direction for me. So most of the time, honestly, I was just sitting at home collecting a paycheck, and I kind of figured it was coming because how long can you sit at home and get a paycheck for not really doing anything? So it wasn't really out of the blue or anything like that. I got a call from Al Snow, who's in talent relations, on a couple days before the 4th, and he just let me know that it was coming. So he gave me the heads up and explained, just basically said it was just budget cuts. We have nothing against you, nothing against your ability. We were happy with your work. We would, keep the door open. Love to have you back one day, but right now we just got to make some budget cuts. And since I'm not in a prominent storyline, me and a few others got the axe.
Okay. Now, for the record, you definitely were not the only one that was released, as we said earlier, as it was revealed. 24-year-old Taylor Hendricks, former 4-time Knockouts champion Madison Rayne, who was on maternity leave from the company. Crimson, that one really stands out to me, a guy that was undefeated for 470 days, longer than CM Punk's 434 reign as champion. We had to show some love to Virginia's own Christian York, yourself, all within the same week. I mean, you talk about all you all being young because the age range, if I'm not mistaken, it's 24-36. That's a lot of time for growth, even marketability. Do you feel that TNA Wrestling may have dropped the ball with you guys or you specifically?
I mean, I definitely would have liked more time to shine and more time to show what I can do. I mean, the storyline that I was in with Matt was more for Matt. And I was kind of the side piece there, but then when we split, I thought, okay, well, maybe I'm going to get a chance to be me a little bit more, but it never really came to light. So, I mean, I would have definitely appreciated and used the time wisely had they given it to me to do some stuff on my own, but, it just didn't happen. And, it's not, they've been making cuts here and there, even before the 6 of us or whatever got cut this week or last week. They made recent cuts with Kid Cash and Doug Williams, and so they've been kind of tightening the belts a little bit here and there. So, and it's like, you don't know. It's just circumstance, I think, at this point, because I don't know if there's a better wrestler out there than Doug Williams, and they didn't keep him, and so maybe I feel a little bit that they dropped the ball just because I know what I can do. But again, I can't really hold it against them because I'm not, part of their current storylines, and so when they look at where they can tighten the belt at, I'm not surprised that they looked in my direction.
Mm. Following up on Matt Morgan there for a minute, that is a guy that definitely I'm on the very top of the list. Look at a guy like that, great build, great height. He just looks like a freaking beast, and you just say, man, when is this guy going to be a future TNA World Heavyweight Champion? I got a two-part question for you. What was it like teaming up with the Blueprint? And second, in the next 2-3 years, do you see this guy becoming a TNA champion?
I really enjoyed teaming with Matt. I've actually become good friends with him, and he's a great guy. And he's great ability too. And it's I think obviously look at him in his athletic ability. He's definitely a true athlete. The sky's the limit with him. There's not very many people that are 7 feet or close to 7 feet tall that can do the kind of stuff that he does and are athletic as he is. And it just depends on whether the writing team or the producers have faith in him to push him all the way. I mean, I would if I was running a company, but I'm not. So, or at least a major company like that. So, I don't see the sky's the limit with a guy like that.
But if you were booking it, you would definitely have him be a champion.
Yeah, well, I definitely have him in the main event picture currently or constantly. If he was champion or going for the championship, he'd be around there. Yeah.
Okay. Now, there's many folks out there that feel that there are other wrestlers, even those in upper management, that should have been let go instead. Some even questioning some of the moves that's been going on in the company within recent weeks with the addition of Rampage Jackson. I'm definitely curious. Would you agree or disagree with those comments, or do you care to comment further on that?
Yeah, I don't mind commenting. I think it's easy for people on the outside to say why is he there? Why is this person there? Or they should cut this person or that person instead. But really, when it comes to the backstage stuff, it's more the inner workings of the company, and they have a system that works for them, and to take out some of those office pieces, you would have to uproot the whole system and change the way they do business or change the way they work and operate, because everyone has a specific job that maybe you don't see in front of the camera that they do backstage. And so, that comes into play when they decide who to keep and who to let go. Obviously Rampage Jackson's assigned to try to get a broader audience, and you can't really fault them for that. I mean, they're trying, and maybe wrestling fans aren't happy with it, but it might bring on more casual fans, or it might bring in some more crossover fans, or whatnot, because that's a recognizable person, a recognizable name. So like I said, they're trying their best to kind of broaden their market and get more audience and become bigger all around. And it's not something that happens overnight. It's not something you snap your fingers and okay, we're a major player now. But they're trying, and I think that you have to give them credit for at least taking the step to leave the impact zone, and try to broaden their audience, because you kind of they can either just sit there and be what they are, or they can try to grow. And I appreciate the fact that they try to grow.
Right. But for you, definitely, and I definitely would love for you to go on record here, you have no problem with Rampage Jackson joining TNA.
I don't. I mean, that's the way wrestling is. For years, they've always gone to outside sources to try to get more in the audience. I never actually got to meet and definitely not work with Rampage Jackson, because by that time I had already kind of been sitting at home. But I met King Mo, and I talked to King Mo, and he's like a little bit different circumstance, but he was really excited to get into wrestling, and he's loving the training, and and maybe Rampage Jackson is just something he really wants to do, and I can't, if he has the same passion that I do for wrestling, then I can't really say that he doesn't belong there.
Okay. Now, on our show, we try to do our very best to stay away from rumors, but since we're sitting here with you today, I would definitely love it if you could clear up some of these things that we've been hearing, as we're hearing stories of wrestlers that now have to pay for their own travel expenses, as TNA is only providing traveling expenses for a select few, part of the budget cuts. Also, payments to wrestlers, even those in management, it's being said that they aren't being paid on time, some even waiting up to 3 months. Definitely kind of gives a black eye to the TNA product. What's your take? What's your experience on all of that, actually?
Well, I don't know everyone's contracts. I don't know the details of it. My contract, I got a monthly guarantee, and then when I would do shows, I would get bonuses. And then as far as travel, TNA would always take care of my flights, and then I would be responsible for like car rentals or hotels, and which were easy to split with other wrestlers who were on the shows, and and I have a lot of friends that I could rely on to do stuff like that with. So, but that all came into the bonus, the show bonus, and I would still come out on top on the show bonuses, and so like that wasn't a problem at all for me. But I never, my paychecks were never late. Like if I, there was never a set date where I would get it. It would always be like the 1st or the 9th or the 20th, or I would never get but if I was getting paid for February, the check would come in February. If I was getting paid for March, the check would come in March. It wouldn't be like I'd be in April waiting for February's check or anything like that. And so, there was never a set date, but I always got paid the month I was supposed to get paid.
Okay, so for the record, you definitely never had any problems getting paid on time or when you were supposed to from the company?
Not at all.
Okay, that's good to hear. That's good to hear. I'm curious, can you tell me how hands-on Hulk Hogan is behind the scenes with wrestlers? Because many of us, we see what he does on TV, but it really doesn't do it justice. What's he really like?
I think he's great. I think he's still very passionate for wrestling. A lot of people say that he's just collecting a paycheck, and I can disagree more. From the top of the roster to the bottom of the roster, he's definitely a guy who gets it and knows how to market yourself and how to be on top and how to make professional wrestling work. And he's always willing to listen and always willing to lend a hand or suggest an idea or tell you what he likes or doesn't like. And I just think that advice is one of those valuable things I got when I was there, because obviously he's been to the top and been at the top for a very long time. So I think what you see on the screen is the authority figure, and most of the stuff that he comes and does is written material or produced by the writers or whatever. But himself, he's very hands-on with the talent, at least to he'll tell you if he doesn't like something, he'll tell you if he likes something. So I really appreciated that while I was there.
Okay. And what's been your experience with TNA President Dixie Carter?
It's been limited, but she's always been nice. She's always been positive too about what she likes and what she doesn't like, and what she wants to see and what she doesn't want to see. And she's been in wrestling. A lot of people like to tease her, but she's been in wrestling a long time now, and she's gotten a grasp of what works and what doesn't work. And she's a great boss to have, because she's very clear about in her decisions and her. And what she wants to see, and what she doesn't want to see, and that's helpful, because then you're not really left with gray area, But again, she kind of, I'm sure she does more in the production, but she kind of lets she has people like agents and writers and staff to kind of more monitor the shows, but she's not afraid to put her 2 cents in when needed. Okay, yeah, it sounds like she's a really cool boss to have, because the way her personality just radiates off television, she definitely, and that's the general theme I've been hearing from those in the company, is that she is just really a pleasant person to work for. Yeah, I don't have any complaints.
Okay, that's good. Now, many are concerned about the future of TNA Wrestling, as they want for the company to succeed. But with some of the things that I was saying earlier, the budget cuts, the releases, all of that, some would be as bold as to say TNA is going to end up becoming the next WCW or the next ECW, and maybe the McMahons will purchase it. What do you think will be the future of TNA, whether it be 1 year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? What do you see happening with the company? Do you see it continuing to thrive and be as successful as it is right now?
I don't see why it can't be. They have all the right pieces in place. Again, they're right now they're trying to broaden their audience, so there's a lot of trial and error. So people might be jumping to conclusions when they say like, oh, this is failing or this isn't working, but really they just got going. So you kind of give them time to reach their goals. And the talent's definitely there. Whether it's Austin Aries or Bobby Roode or AJ Styles or Kazarian and Daniels or, even Kurt Angle. Like, some of the best wrestlers in the world are there. So the talent's in place. Just got to give them time to work, and I don't see why they can't work.
Okay. Speaking of the talent that's there, who would you like to see become the future faces of the product? I know we got guys like Sting, we got Bully Ray, we got Kurt Angle. They're leading the pack right now. Samoa Joe. Who do you see being the future of the company in the next couple of years?
It's hard to go against a guy like Bobby Roode, who has all the pieces in place and is very talented in every aspect of wrestling, or an Austin Aries who is breaking a lot of stereotypes in wrestling right now by being a guy who's short in stature but still seen as a main player, main event guy. It really could be anybody. You don't know who's Chris Sabin is a guy who's been there a long time and gets it, and if he gets the right opportunity, could really skyrocket. So it's really it really can come from anywhere, but they have definitely a lot of guys on the roster and under contract that could be the face.
Okay. I got a fun question for you. Who would you like to see go into the TNA Hall of Fame next to join Sting and Kurt Angle?
I definitely think that Jeff Jarrett belongs there. I mean, as a founder of the company and a guy who was in there for a long time, I don't see. I would have predicted that he would have been the first one in, but I think he's definitely got to get in there in the next couple of years.
Yeah, otherwise there's going to be a serious backlash. I remember we did a polling asking folks when we first had heard it was going to be Sting to be the first inductee. We did a poll asking folks if they felt it should have been the Jarretts to go in or if it was right putting Sting in. And I think out of 70-something% of the votes, it was in favor of Jarrett going in first. And I definitely agree with you. I think Sting, Kurt Angle, don't get me wrong, definitely Hall of Famers. They deserve it. But if Jarrett doesn't get in there, at least in that top 3, top 5, top 10, folks are definitely going to be scratching their heads wondering what the heck is going on here. All right. So what's next for you? What you got lined up?
I've been picking up my indie bookings, since this all went down, and I've actually got my schedule's getting pretty full. I've got Pro Wrestling Guerilla stuff starting up again. Who I'm, as you mentioned earlier, kind of in the office there. I've got I'm starting to do some stuff more stuff on the East Coast. FWE, Family Wrestling Entertainment. Just got a booking a couple days ago from them. Just trying to reach out and get as many places as I can right now. Well, got to keep the money coming in somehow.
Yes, I feel you on that. Let the folks know all the great places where they can check you out, even maybe buy some cool merchandise.
Yeah, if you're on Twitter, you can follow me at JoeyRyanOnline, and I'm always posting about what shows I'm going to be on. Even on Facebook, if you search Joey Ryan, you'll find me. You can get my merchandise on ProWrestlingTees.com. If you're a promoter and you want to book me, my email is JoeyRyan@hotmail.com. Find me on social media, and I'm always plugging the shows on that. I'm usually doing 2 or 3 shows a week now, so just find me there, and you'll see the flyers or the posts or the website links, and you can look up all that information there.
Awesome. Well, Joey, it was a blast having you on the show last year. Definitely a blast to have you on the show this go-round. And as I said last time, you're more than welcome to come on back anytime, whether it's to plug a wrestling event or you want to talk about something random. The door's always open for you to come on back. We'd love to have you, and we thank you so much for your time and doing this interview today. It really means a lot.
I appreciate you having me back.
Appreciate you, definitely. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Mr. Joey Ryan. Joey, thank you so much.
Thank you.